is the Challenge USA.
Coming up, horse racing is coming to Corbin this fall.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A new attraction in Southern Kentucky offers something that generations of people in this state have enjoyed. Horse racing is coming to Corbin. As WYMT's Phil Pendleton reports, standard-bred harness racing, similar to what is offered at the Red Mile in Lexington, will start this October.
People are often drawn to Corbin thanks to Cumberland Falls and the birthplace of KFC. Soon the area will be boosting something new, all the while part of Kentucky's signature sports.
And, you know, the excitement's building amongst the community for sure.
It's been just over a year since ground was broken on Cumberland Run. That includes the standard bred track, stables, and gaming hall. And October 15th is the target date for racing to start.
I mean, to me, the first thing I thought of when I saw it the first time was like, this is like chariot, you know, chariot racing is what it reminded me of.
Absolutely. I think that people are always looking for the next, you know, big thing, something different, and this will provide them with a completely different experience.
Racing will last 10 days in October, but wagering on historical horse races on slot-like gaming machines will be offered year-round.
But then we're going to have some grandstands over in this area, and then there's going to be the HHR machines and a restaurant and everything in the far back over here.
Future plans call for a hotel and a lot more jobs. In Corbin, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Corbin city officials say there are plans for the infield of the track, but for now, those are being kept under wraps. Racing is set to resume tomorrow at Churchill Downs as members of the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, or HISA, continue to investigate the deaths of 12 horses at the track. 12 horses have died since the end of March there. Veterinarians from Churchill Downs, the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, and HISA are trying to find any common links between the deaths. It's not clear if HISA has the authority to stop racing at Churchill Downs, but HISA believes if it determines racing needs to stop, Churchill will follow. Kentucky is moving forward with plans to implement sports wagering in the Commonwealth. Today, during his Team Kentucky briefing, Governor Andy Beshear announced that the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission is now hiring employees in wagering compliance. He says when he signed the bill, he promised sports betting would bring Kentucky jobs and tourism.
This is an exciting milestone. With the additional licensing and enforcement responsibilities, we have to add these jobs. That's the first step towards the implementation of this program. And folks, we are making sure it is done right.
Governor Beshear says the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission is working with his office and all officials involved to develop the initial emergency regulations to get the program running.
A little warm one throughout the mountains today. Plenty of heat, at least feeling like heat, and more is on the way the next few days. Here's where we wound up today. Warmest temperatures in our region, 84 in London, Somerset, and Monticello, into the low 80s elsewhere. It was a nice day out there today. Temperatures falling into the mid-60s now, still a few 70s. We're falling into the 60s for tonight thanks to those dew points hanging near 60. Just a couple of, maybe a couple of sprinkles out there. That's just ground clutter on Pinpoint Doppler. Your forecast first as we head out in the morning and go out for the morning run. Maybe a storm in the afternoon, but otherwise we're in pretty good shape. Very similar day to today. And as you head out in the morning, maybe make that bowl of cereal, we're looking pretty nice with those temperatures in the 60s. Though, Steve, I have details on when it starts to feel like a little bit more like summer in a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you. 10 months after July's flood left many eastern Kentuckians without a home, one young family has a new place to call their own. Earlier today, Knott County community members gathered to give the White family the keys to their brand new home. Homeowner William White says he hopes this situation will bring hope to families still struggling from the impact of the flood.
Just know that it's not impossible, that you can't, that the moment when it seems the hardest, that's when you got to try the hardest. And that's when you can actually anything can happen.
White said this moment was a dream come true. He adds that he is grateful for the amount of support he and his family received from the community. For more on White's flood recovery story, check out WYMT.com. On Saturday, an apartment building in the Slimp community of Perry County was destroyed by fire, leaving the 29 people that lived in the complex without a home and multiple kids without their favorite toys as they start summer break. Two moms that lived in the building say they did not get out with anything but each other, and they still have some basic needs.
Right now, clothes and help getting food, because it's hard to keep food in there with all them people.
With 21 people, it's hard to keep food. I mean, it's really hard. And, you know, when you clothes, shoes.
Yeah, just anything really helps right now.
And try to find a place, you know, to stay.
A local Jeep club known as the Appalachian Wood Boogers announced today their plans for a Jeep show and shine at Leatherwood Elementary on June 24th. Organizers say all proceeds from that will go to the families who lost their homes. A Scott County deputy killed in the line of duty will be laid to rest tomorrow. Deputy Caleb Conley served with the Sheriff's Office in Scott County for 4 years. Before that, he served 8 years in the U.S. Army. The 35-year-old grew up and lived in Harrison County. He was shot and killed during a traffic stop on Interstate 75 last week. Conley's visitation was today. His funeral is tomorrow at Scott County High School. Governor Andy Beshear ordered flags at all state buildings to be lowered to half-staff tomorrow in Conley's honor. Congress is racing against a Monday deadline to avoid a debt default that could have a large impact on the economy. Tonight, the House approved a bipartisan compromise bill that allows the federal government to spend more money and pay its bills. Now it's the Senate's turn, but the measure has faced strong resistance from some on both sides of the aisle. CBS's Skylar Henry has the latest from Capitol Hill.
The bill is passed.
The House passed a contentious bipartisan package late Wednesday night that would raise the federal debt ceiling and impose budget cuts.
Tonight, we all made history, because this is the biggest cut and savings this Congress has ever voted for.
The legislation aims to avoid a looming default on America's debts that many feared could torpedo the global economy. But some conservative House Republicans and progressive Democrats lashed out against the compromise President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reached last week.
The fact is, at best, we have a 2-year spending freeze that's full of loopholes and gimmicks that would allow for increased funding for the federal bureaucracy.
Every concession in this bill, every demand that Republicans made in this bill hurts somebody and hurts the most vulnerable in our country.
The 99-page bill would restrict spending for the next 2 years and raise the debt ceiling until at least early 2025.
The agreement caps some federal spending, claws back money from the IRS, tightens eligibility for food stamp programs, and loosens some environmental rules.
The consequences of slipping past the deadline would reverberate across the world.
Senate leaders hope to move quickly on the bill, despite a group of mostly Republican opponents. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Next Monday is when the Treasury has said the U.S. would run short of money to pay its debts, risking an economically dangerous default. Congressman Hal Rogers voted for the deal and urged senators to do the same. He said in part, quote, "While we cannot afford to default on our debt, neither can we continue the reckless spending that has driven this nation into a record deficit. We have pinpointed cost savings and secured historic spending cuts that will get America back on the right track, ending programs that cost taxpayers more and cultivating energy and economic independence from foreign nations." As the COVID public health emergency ends, folks will now need to renew their Medicaid and Medicare benefits. On Wednesday, Anthem hosted an event at the WestCare Perry Klein Emergency Shelter in Pikeville aimed at helping folks in the renewal process update their information and learn more about state and local assistance programs. The shelter's program director, Anna Bevins, says the shelter's clients make good use of the event, but she hoped more folks from the community would swing by.
One-stop shop for the, all the things you need, the resources here, and it's open to the community. We've not had a lot of community involvement coming into the shelter to get those things, but I'd like to see a lot more, and we're going to keep doing this monthly.
Anthem officials add that more community outreach and renewal events will be held across the Commonwealth in the coming weeks and months. Toyota is making a new major investment at its Georgetown, Kentucky facility. The automaker says an all-new 3-row electric vehicle is set to go into production at the Georgetown plant. The project is set to begin in 2025. It's part of a $591 million commitment from Toyota for future projects at the plant. The SUV will be Toyota's first battery electric vehicle assembled in the United States. Could a West African plant cure opioid addiction? That's what the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission wants to explore. The commission shared plans this morning on those new therapeutic treatment options. Grayson Passmore and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw have more.
Ibogaine allowed me a window of opportunity to get clean, to be relieved of the physical cravings, the withdrawal.
On January 15th, 2013, received Ibogaine treatment under the care of medical professionals. I have been sober ever since.
One by one, former addicts stepped up to the mic to vouch for a medical treatment they say can reverse the effects of opioids. Wednesday's announcement to explore new therapeutic treatment options was hosted by the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission. Brian Hubbard is the chairman. He describes how Ibogaine helps.
It reverses the course of the impact of opioid withdrawal syndrome, which is the chief neurochemical stumbling block to the attainment of long-term recovery.
My family was fortunate enough to have the resources to send me to Mexico, where I could get this life-saving treatment.
Right now, the therapy is not FDA approved.
Ibogaine has been a Schedule I substance since the passage of the Controlled Substances Act.
Susan Austerman wishes her son Tyler Cordero could have gotten this treatment 3 years ago. He died of an opioid overdose.
Tyler, he needed that reset in his to cut off the withdrawal symptoms.
Austerman is frustrated by the FDA's lack of urgency.
When I think about the loss of lives, I don't sleep at night. There's 300 people a day in this country are dying.
Kentucky is number 2 in the nation in terms of per capita opioid overdose death rate. But the commission wants to be number 1 in the solution.
Kentucky can be the first to lead the United States to a consequential, broad-based change of dynamic that will actually position us to win our fight against the opioid epidemic.
In Frankfort, Grayson Passmore, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the potential risks for Ibogaine include memory loss, nausea, and slow heart rhythm. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, an annual bass fishing tournament in Moorhead is about more than just fishing, how it's an investment in the next generation.
Plus, we continue to watch the potential for some summer-like heat. Those details ahead.